There we go. Hello, hello. Oh, blimey. Welcome to a moot. Now, it's that purple light's a wee bit strong, isn't it? We can deal with that. Just a second. We can do it. We can do anything. If we can find the controller. Gah! Right then. Is there a better colour? Green, red. I don't know. It's all the bits sort of. Nah. I reckon maybe off and just let the Christmas vibes behind me light the way. Purple soup. We're not having a thing. No, we're having a moot. Because it sounds better with soup. A soup moot, a soup thing. Before we start, how is Ruth today? Ruth is okay. She spent the day alone. We were meant to have been meeting up this evening, but we didn't. I think, by the sounds of it, it's a case of a stretch and a bruise, and quite a lot of discomfort. But I think she's going to be okay. I think she basically scared herself following a workout and then having a bit of a tumble. So she is better and doing well, and we'll be seeing her tomorrow night for Christmas Eve. New Year's Eve. Incidentally, as well, we got this year from Mrs. Soup's parents a disco ball for Christmas. So that's going to be hanging in the living room. It came with a motor and a light. We will see. We'll see if we can get it moving. But this year, just hanging it and letting it just naturally turn will be a lot of fun. She had vodka. No, not at all. No, she's teetotal. So yeah, it is a wee bit dark in here, isn't it? But if I turn on the overhead light, it just ruins everything. It ruins everything. There we go. Right. Da da da. The Purple was a bit Flight of the Navigator. I love that movie. That's a very cool film. Groovy. Okay, so we have this this year for our initial soup moot, Christmas midwinter moot. We have 3 stories, and I'm going to be reading them in an order that Mrs. Soup has recommended. In fact, so Saturday Night Fever. Night Fever. We're going to start with a story by David Irving, not that one, and poor David, and it's called The Tooth, and it's quite a canny little story actually. It's about an archaeologist visiting a cairn somewhere in Scotland, and we shall see how it goes. So are we ready? Are we sitting comfortably? Okay. The day had started well enough. Clear blue skies with a pale sun had made Alex's trip up the mountainside almost pleasant. Angus, his guide, had from time to time pointed out a cairn here, a disused mine or illicit still there, and their destination was a newly discovered cairn which some badgers had occupied. Big, scary beasts they could be. Access was via the front door, and looking through the opening, Alex couldn't see very far into the mound. So I just saw, Moot must activate! The floor of the passage was clean, save for a few leaves, so he slowly made his way inside. A stalled cairn, he thought to himself. Interesting. From the outside he could hear Angus muttering to himself, and then he heard a movement somewhere in the darkness, and then he saw the eyes. Now they were on their way back down. The weather had turned quickly after they left. First the wind had brought low purple clouds, then thick, blanketing snow. Just behind him, Angus sang a scandalous song about hedgehogs, interjected with curses. "I told you it sounded a lot bigger in the dark," Alex called back. The snow scrunched underfoot. The rustle of cloth and his ragged breathing filled his world. Then from behind came a scream, shock, anger, despair, combined in a single chilling ululation. "Arminajas!" Angus, in his kilt, had found a drift. With a smile and silent laugh, he plodded on, knowing only too well that this would be recounted in the pub tonight. The pub, that sanctuary of light and warmth, was still a mile away. Alex's caravan in the car park boasted a dozen candles and an accumulated biology lesson on the walls. Scrunch, scrunch, squelch. He'd reached the bog, so half a mile to go. Looking back, Alex waited for Angus. A faint, reassuring whiff of burning peat passed by. His mind conjured images of people long past who'd huddled around fires, telling of their exploits. It was strange, but one of these images seemed to be talking about a tooth and gesturing rudely at him. I always read the inaugural as being said in a Yorkshire accent, like Monty Python. Inaugural, welcome to the inaugural. Anyway, pointing rudely at him. Scrunch, scrunch, crunch, gravel. An odd feeling. Alex turned to his guide. "Is it me, or are you following me?" Even as he asked this, he knew it was a stupid question. Of course Angus was following him. Angus replied, "It's no me, but I ken your feeling. Maybe summat followed us. Yous didn't take out, did you? I told you, look, but nae touch." I'm an archaeologist, not Indiana Jones. Removing even a tiny bead could change how we interpret the story of those people. Reaching for the door latch, Angus replied, "My family's had the eye for generations, and I'm reckoning summat followed us hame. I'm also reckoning yous owe me a large dram, or three, for today's wee jaunt." The pub soon filled with sheep people. The elders, in big coats and worn suits waterproofed by the fleece of the sheep they handled every day. All were wearing big boots that were more repair than boot, while string, clippers, sheep liniment, and the odd pipe poked from apron pockets. The men's aprons being leather, the ladies a variety of gaudy flower prints. Headgear was universal, much like mine, and knitted, not like mine. The few youngsters sported green wellies, jeans, and smart waistcoats. Soon the air was a fug, laced with a twang of liniment which made Alex's eyes water. He wasn't drunk, well, not very drunk, but for some reason there seemed to be two hands reaching for his drink. At some point, one of those other hands passed him a bottle whose rather tatty label declared it to be Granny's Best Sheep Tonic. Later, those hands guided him to his bed. "There is a soup loose about this house," guided him to his bed. A gentle snoring filled the caravan. Candles flickered. Alex's warm breath steamed. Condensation formed a droplet. The droplet dropped. "What?" Alex shook awake. He could hear the wind as it whistled a word. "Tooth! Tooth!" He felt the cold on his face and scrunched his eyes tight. Again the sound came, only clearer. "My tooth! My tooth! You've got my tooth!" It was a voice, both urgent and near. Slowly Alex opened his eyes. A face was inches from his own. It smiled. It took a while, but once the shock had wore off, Alex decided that this was a hallucination. Otherwise, the voice wouldn't be in his head. They had warned him about drinking on the tablets he'd been prescribed, and this was the price, no doubt. His stomach suggested there may be another price to come. Interesting wee cave you've got here. A bit on the cheap side, nay. How do these flame sticks work? Said the hallucination. Oh, and my name's Little White Flower in the spring, but you can call me Little Flower. They're candles, Alex said. They're a piece of thread repeatedly dipped into wax or sometimes moulded. And I'm Alex. Why did I just answer myself? He asked himself. Because I'm near yourself. When you talk to yourself, you sound like this. Well, this is you talking to yourself. See, totally different. Especially with this stupid whistle. This whistle I've got because you stole my tooth. But I didn't steal anything. I went no further than the passage. I'm an archaeologist, not some Indiana Jones. Yes, a pretty bonny wee speech, that, quite passionate. But if my tooth were nae here, then I couldn't be here either. You ken. I'm sorry, I don't have your tooth, Alex exclaimed. Then what's this? An arm he couldn't see tried to lift his boot. Ah, crevens, I keep forgetting to concentrate. The face frowned, and slowly the boot rose and turned in the air. There, you see, my tooth. You stole my tooth, you wee scunner. An incisor, discoloured and slightly worse for wear, was stuck snugly between the treads on his boots. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Animals must have dislodged it and moved it. I'll take it back in the morning. You'll do nae such thing, young man. I've spent 6,139 years in there, and I want to see some life again. Sorry, I'm being distracted by how funny this story actually is. I'll start again now. You'll do nae such thing, young man. I've spent, yeah, that's the whistle, 6,139 years in there, and I want to see some life again. If they cremated me like I'd asked, I'd be free to roam, but no, kids and their new ideas about returning to the womb of Mother Earth mean I'm stuck here. I'm sorry, but I must put it back, Alex insisted. You respect the wishes of the dead, yes? Well, this dead person wishes to go to the pub. I can't argue with that, I suppose, but this feels wrong. All my career I followed the rules. To start breaking them now, well, how many times has a ghoulie spoke to yous, eh? Retorted the ghost. Well, never, actually. If it helps, you can replace my tooth with something useful. Say a wee tool, or a bit of food, perhaps? All I have to do is leave your tooth in the pub, and that's it. Does it need to be somewhere special? Not really. When you go for breakfast, I'll look around. Now, let's seal the deal. A cork squeaked somewhere in the caravan. The smell of single malt filled the air, and Alex's stomach caught a whiff. Oh, God! Alex exclaimed, rushing to the door to be sick. Who's God? Asked Little Flower. Leaving the pub after breakfast, Alex made his way back up the mountain. The snow had melted overnight, leaving the ground sodden and slippery. He was slightly distracted by the now distant voice in his head singing along with the radio back in the pub. Alex's offering was simply his breakfast, which, quite fittingly, the landlord had the foresight to cremate, wrapped in a clean hanky. Arriving, Alex crept into the cairn and tossed his offering far into the depths. Once again, he saw a pair of eyes in the darkness. They saw him. This time, it wasn't a hedgehog. Oh, that was fun. What is this? As a Glaswegian, this is a brill. I'm glad. I was really quite, I've got, my grandparents one of my grandparents were Scottish. I'm not a million miles away from being able to know what different Scottish accents sounds like, but you're always nervous, aren't you, when you try and do someone else's an accent from someone else's part of the world. Hence, in the final story today, I'm not going to be doing American accents. It's an American story, and I have in mind where these guys are from, but I just don't want to do it. I'll embarrass myself, or I'll just ruin the story. So I'll do accents that I think work in context. But I thought that was really good, that story, especially the slightly sort of mischievous element of the ghost. Also, as well, it's fair to say that that we had to do a little bit of rejigging. As I was reading it, doing the pre-read, as it were, some of the grammar here and there needed a little bit of moving around. But I loved the imagery and the way that the imagery was coming along, like the smell of the peat burning and this kind of thing. I thought it was fantastic. So, yeah. Thank God, wouldn't want you to sprain your vocal cords. Like the stream, share the love. Yes, feel free. Yes, definitely do like the stream. Did really well. I could tell you have Scots in your ear. Was going to ask if you'd lived here for a bit. Well, there you go. I haven't. Well, I've visited a few times, but I haven't. We really this year. So next year, Mrs. Soup and I are planning to take the caravan up there for a bit, because we really should. We live so close. There's no excuse, no excuse at all. Can someone tell me what it was? I missed the beginning. What time did you begin? I began at 10, and it was a story about a tooth being going errant from a cairn up in Scotland. So yeah, definitely well worth a look. When the stream is over, I'll be immediately making it available as a VOD and time stamping the stories as well. So definitely check it out at the end. Thank you. Embarrassed? Oh no, don't be embarrassed, man. It was a great story, absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Okay, next we have the story by Michelle. Speaking of Michelle commenting, good stuff, David. And it's called A Krampus Holiday. And this is a Mendel story. And she also included, helpfully, a pronunciation guide for Aegon, a certain character, spelled Aodhgan. So, yeah, I can, Welsh, straightforward. The alphabet is straightforward. But Gaelic and Gaelic, it's a maze to the eyes. Okay, right. Heaviness and density are not the same thing. Ice floats on water. Collapsed stars hang on the cloth of infinity, and dashed hopes weigh down the most joyous of minds. Mindel was neither heavy nor dense. He operated on wishes, his happiness dependent on a bowl of frumenty. His mind fueled by excitement, moving towards his friends and foes with the gravitational force of a violent sack of feathers. Yet Aegon, his werewolf companion, walked with the magnitude of a giant planet. Watching his muscles churn was like watching several galaxies collide at a safe distance. But his spirit was easy and unbothered, which made him more terrifying because his fists were immune to brick walls. The abbot, however, weighed about as much as a wet hen and was denser than a neutron star. He was sitting in Krampus's basket and was happy about it because he was being taken for a little walk and it was good to be out of the abbey once in a while. He kept the basket lid on. It was dark and cramped and somewhat lonely, which reminded him of his office, and he liked it. He listened to the bestial huffs of Krampus straining away as he trudged up the hill. He felt the warmth pouring off his thick pelt, and even though Krampus smelled like a dank barn, he was glad to be hauled away. "Peace, peace at last," the abbot sighed, leaning back against the rough weave. Now I'll be able to read for 5 minutes together without having to hear the boy attack me with his nonsense. Oh, Lord, thank you for this small space, affording us something like serenity. Abbott! The familiar shrill tones throttled all of his happiness. No! Abbott cried. He crumpled to the bottom of the basket, splaying himself across the poking twigs and whimpering in agony. How? He mourned. How did the boy find me? Krampus paused and glanced back at the basket on his back. Well, I am making very large tracks in the snow. Be quiet, you overgrown goat, the basket barked. You were supposed to carry me off to your cave, or whatever real estate you own. Krampus seemed wounded. It's a very nice 2-in-1 cavern. Abbott, I'm coming to get you out of there, Mindle called out, his voice gaining ground. No, you must go away this moment, the basket vibrated. I'm being carried off by a horrid monstrosity. I'm weltering in quiet misery, and I'm sure I don't care about anyone who needs their sheep blessed or their marriage annulled. The basket lip clapped with a humph. All the farmers can ask you to do those things and leave me out of it, he said. But Abbott, you can't be carried off by Krampus. Hello, Krampus. So pleasant to see you. Your horns look very burnished and sharp for the season. He needs his basket to carry off the children, Abbott. Krampus looked a little sheepish. Well, not all the children. I only take the bad ones, and those who don't like onions. Well, you have 2 arms for that, the basket lid flapped. You put me in your basket, it's my turn to have a ride, and that's all. Oh, Abbott, Mindle tutted. I know it's very snug in that basket, but Krampus needs it. How else will he carry home his greens from the market? The cheerful timbre of Mindle's voice gave the abbot a headache. This was no different from most days, but his headache was brought on by teeth grinding and made its way through his sinuses into his ears. His headache was so severe that he decided to name it. Rob. Rob was a good name, but Mindle was better. I'm sure I don't care about his wretched vegetables, the basket chuffed. He's going to take me to his cave, and I'm going to be an anchorite in the mountains, and that is all. To be with God? Mindle said hopefully. No, to get away from you and everybody at the Abbey. Even Constantine, Mindle added. The 2 of you are such bosom friends. The basket had to think about this. Tell him I needed a reading holiday and that he was a tolerable companion, and the last thing I wanted from him was to take his pens out of my desk. I don't think my mum will allow me to have pets in the cave, said Krampus. Oh, don't worry, Mindle beamed. We're all house-trained at the Abbey. The basket lid flew open, and the abbot popped his head out. You are not coming to live in the cave with me. I purposefully let this beast steal me so I could have a holiday away from the noise and headaches, and I'm going to have it. The abbot plonked himself, closing the basket lid, and he clutched and sulked and said the word, Dunnard. Mindle only laughed and encouraged Krampus to turn around and bring the abbot home. He really is quite cross without his dinner, said Mindle. I thought he was a child, said Krampus, explaining as he marched back down the hill. I didn't know all the men could be that small and skittish. And I can be fratchy and irritable too, said the basket. Would you rather we take you out of there, Abbot? Mindle called up to the basket. I would rather you died quietly, like a civilized person. But we have to take you home first, because if we leave you alone up here, the Christmas trolls might come out for you. And I would... The abbot paused and popped his head out again. What Christmas trolls? Well, there's my mum, said Krampus, but she prefers the word ogress, because it's much more respectful, said Krampus. And then the 13 others, but I don't like them much. The abbot seemed pensive. How evil are these trolls? Will they let me read in peace? Well, said Krampus, one of them licks spoons, the other slams doors, and another sniffs doorways. But none of them licks spoons or books, or no, sorry. But none of them licks books, gives headaches. No, wonderful, said the abbot, and sat in the basket again. Take me up. The trolls might give you to their mother for soup, abbot, said Mindle. Ha! A worthy trade for 5 minutes' peace. The abbot pulled the basket lid back down. And I would make a decent pottage. There's also the giant cat that will eat you if you don't have a handsome sweater on, Mindle added. A pause succeeded. How large is this cat? Oh, larger than Egan's wolf, abbot. The basket rustled nervously. Do your trolls have large rats to distract it? Not that I know of, said Krampus. What was worse, spending the winter solstice at the abbey in the lap of noise and confusion, or being harassed by trolls while getting a few minutes peaceful reading time by the side? The abbot, being dense, gave it for the trolls. He demanded Krampus march him back up the hill. He only needed to convince Krampus to allow him to make a new sweater from his coat, and a gorgeous holiday would proceed in the 2-in-1 cavern for solstice. It would be secure for 5 minutes at least. There you go. That's quite an episode, and yeah, I can understand the abbot, desperate to get away there. Soup channeling his D3 monk. Well, interesting actually. Michelle has confirmed what Mindle's voice is like and Mindle's attitude. I hope that was something close to it. He just seems to be sort of incredibly. I've described it as nice but dim. You know, I've known those sorts of people. I've met a few of those sorts of people at uni. One of them on my first night there. So I've just arrived from North Wales, very anxious, in the northeast of England for the first time. Really, frankly, that far from home for the first time. And this guy comes in and goes, "Hello, I'm Hamish," and and I go, "Oh, hello, Hamish." And he goes, "Yes, I'm from Edinburgh, and it's awfully nice to meet you. And we're going to go and have dinner now because I'm your college father." And he literally giggled like that, and I was like, "Oh no! Oh my god!" So that's he was like he. Oh, sorry. The worst thing it was it was so nice to meet a fellow Celt. I was like, no. So yeah. And then obviously there's an English version of that, isn't there? You know, Horsley. Hello, my name is Henry Horsley. I am here to. I've got gnashes of teeth. Is that a carrot or a sugar cube you have on you? I'm so witty. That kind of person. Hamish is going in the book. Yes, yeah. I can imagine Hamish would make a good character. Someone who's kind of so nice to meet a fellow Celt. Jesus. I think Neville Wise knows a few Hamishes. Yeah. I think we all do. Have to do the laughs like fluttering chicken clucks. Oh! So something between a fluttering chicken cluck and a horse neighing. Yeah. Oh! Oh, you're so funny. I'll stop making fun of people now. So the final story of this evening, the third story, is The Christmas Wish by Glenn Gleeson, aka Lord Engine, in the chat there. And I really like this one as well. I like all three of them. They're fantastic. So here we go. Oliver was determined to spend Christmas at home. He'd carefully rebuffed co-workers' offers of communal celebration. "I'm polishing the numbers extra hard this year," he said. "All those new accounts." Not a lie, so much as a careful arrangement to be busy at all the right times. "That's Oliver, eh? He's a worker, you know. Oof, He'd dodged a dozen Christmas dinners, half as many Hanukkahs, and a Kwanzaa or two. See, it's not, hence American. Oh, yes, I definitely picked up on the American narration. Yeah. Now, just when it seemed he'd won his Yuletide solitude, the Amazon guy showed up to pound on the door. Those poor folks. Jeff Bezos demands so much of them on the holidays too. It's such a shame. Padding across the worn green carpet which had been laid down some time before Eisenhower, and through the velvet fuzz of entirely too much eggnog, Oliver reached the door. He'd gotten the lease to his place for a steal. Modern conveniences be damned. Amazon guy? The great master spreadsheet of his mind clicked and scrolled. He hadn't ordered anything off Amazon. Never put your eye to a peephole in a neighbourhood like this. It wouldn't have mattered anyway, because the lens, and the doorbell button for that matter, had been covered by a strategically positioned wreath, chosen for its prickliness. Through the chilly sliver of light allowed by the cracked door, he saw the half-line of patchy astroturf on the landing and the half-line of sky above it, broken only by the communal dumpster, filled mostly with unwanted furniture, which had been chucked there by parties unknown from well down the road under cover of darkness. Yeah, I'm sure Charmanar knows that sort of stuff. Oliver had just enough time to notice the gossamer nicotine-stained flicker before he was flung back and pressed against the wall. There was a languid scrape as a picture frame slid groundward.
"I can't believe you, Ollie. I thought you were better than a dump like this."
The door slammed behind the nicotine shape. There was no mistaking that smoke-filled rasp. "Granny Gladys."
"Of course it's me, you stinkpot. Who else would visit you in this hobo den?"
"I'm going to state the obvious here, Granny. You're dead?"
"Yes, I'm dead."
"Well, there's usually a follow-up to that sort of line."
"I'm a ghost, so what? Have you got any Jimmy Slims?"
Sorry, Slimmy Chips.
Ginny Slims?
"Of course not. And what do you have against hobos?" Granny Gladys was most definitely dead. She had lived to the ripe old age of 118. Only the last 4 had been spent at a retirement home, and she had seemed in fine health. Given her reputation, there had been rumours it had been a dubious honour being Gladys's favourite, since she'd proclaim it to anyone in the family who had at least one working ear and no reasonable means of escape.
"I've nothing against hobos, Ollie, but you're not one, so don't insult hobo kind by pretending."
You crossed the barrier between life and death to impugn my frugality.
"Oh, is that what this is? Little plastic knickknacks and cheapo TV? They used to build them to last. Plastic is overrated."
The smoke-scarred voice seemed thoroughly disappointed in him.
"No."
The front door slammed.
"I came to grant my favourite great-grandson a wish. Given the season, I think you should be grateful."
The old woman had once boasted that there hadn't been a high roller in Vegas that she hadn't fleeced or passed out from the effort of trying. Oliver could only shrug and think of all the Columbo that he wasn't watching. With a kind of soft alarm, he realised the lasagna he'd been making was going to end up being cold and slightly overdone. So the powers that be Feel that I deserve some boon for being such a great person. I try not to be too much of a jerk, Granny, but I'm no saint either. Which particular one of them did you manage to fleece out of his angel feathers?
Psst! Those idiots. Fleece my foot. I convinced them that a break from me would be preferable to the alternative.
That must have been an easy sell, you old dragoness.
Don't be smug. Now wear my slims.
You don't have any lungs, Granny.
I know,
She said resignedly. Oh, sorry.
I know.
She said resignedly.
I suppose nicotine addiction persists beyond the grave. I wish I'd known.
It's a powerful thing, said Oliver, gravely. So what's it like, the hereafter?
Serene. Boring as hell.
That's not a very firm real estate pitch. Which religion is right, then? Can you tell me that?
Well, not mine, that's for sure.
I wouldn't think so. Not much chance that the adherence to late-night televangelists would be the chosen one. Now Gladys was getting irritated.
About that wish, Ollie. It took a lot of convincing to grant it on behalf of a no-account accountant like you.
He let that pass, but through gritted teeth asked, Any suggestions?
It has to be a single thing or event. No wishing for world peace or piles of money or any garbage like that. I don't suppose you'd see fit to wish that I am, say, alive again? In maybe an immortal body this time. Wouldn't that be nice?
Oliver frowned deeply. Now memories of cheap, thoughtless gifts, of cruel, thoughtless jabs, of embarrassments suffered unceasingly until his 45th year. Now I see your game, Granny. Favourite my eye. Now, what would your oily preacher think of this, of me doing necromancy, eh? Granny was at a loss for words. All she said was,
Now, Ollie?
I tell you what. I wish, Granny Gladys, I wish that I had gone to the Rubensteins today, instead of being visited by you. And so that was how Oliver spent his holiday, among friends and having drunk entirely too much wine. A few times, glancing into the night from the Rubensteins' big parlour window, he thought he saw a faint nicotine-stained form wavering mournfully in the darkness, but it was just the Zinfandel's blessing. Granny Gladys was
bored forever.
And there you go. Now you can see, basically that's I love that particular voice for an old lady like that who smokes too much and is just a bit nasty. It's the voice of George's grandma in George's Marvelous Medicine, and the version that I grew up with anyway. And it's just fantastic.
George, you disgusting boy, George.
Boy, you disgusting boy, George. Do you really wanna hurt me? And I figured that would fit. If I'd had a little bit more time or a bit more confidence, I might have come up with some Americanisms and accent. But mine are either generic kind of smug East Coast, and not, or sort of really bad, I don't know, New York-ish. Or awful, god-awful Southern. And I've spent a bit of time studying the differences between different places, and there's some wonderful YouTube videos, actually, from an accent specialist online that take you through all of the accents in the US, and they're myriad and wonderful. Hence, as knowledge so often does, if you know that you don't know something, then you really know that you don't know it. And I didn't know how to do the voices I wanted to do. So, I'll keep on working on those. We all know a Granny Gladys. A bubby voice. Yes. I can hear that. Yeah, I can think that would work. I didn't figure you'd do both American accent and nicotine ravaged lungs at the same time. You did great. Yeah, but the thing is, the only nicotine ravaged lungs I can think of are sort of old old men, and possibly slightly cowboyish or slightly sort of old, the kind of people who have a one of those, not a necktie, it's like a little laces and the decorated knot, that kind of thing. Sort of people who wear a hat indoors. Um, so yeah, again, that was fun. I like that. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it as well. And let me just have a look at where we're at. So yeah, we're doing well. Now it seems that the stream's internet is slightly slower than recommended, but I think we're doing okay. 44 minutes. It's been fun. A bolo tie. I think yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, that kind of thing. Marlborough men. Yeah, but that wasn't appropriate for those characters. So yeah, we're all a work in progress. So yeah, what I might do, actually, looking at the time, is I might switch over to live streaming a game potentially. Just give me a few minutes, and I can do that. That'll be over on the Twitch channel. You can find a link to that on the channel homepage here on YouTube. And also, as well, while you're there, or indeed, often actually in the video description for most videos on this YouTube channel, there's a link to Twitch as well, where we have lots of fun. So quite a few of the people in the chat today have been looking forward to this on Twitch, and I'm sure you guys who are also watching would have fun joining us over there as well. It's a good little server. It's like a message board where we share all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So you guys, thank you so much for joining me for this Christmas Moot, this inaugural Christmas Moot. And I had so much fun reading those stories. Thank you again for writing them. I'm going to go now. I'm going to go over onto Twitch and play an computer game. Let's see what happens. Until next time, guys, do take care. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and a happy new year. Have a fantastic time if I don't see or hear from you before the new year. Until then, though, bye-bye.